Very good morning to all. So today, yesterday we discussed block cipher modes of operations. Okay. So yesterday we discussed block cipher modes of operations. In that we have five modes of operations which are very important to understand. So these five, is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So yesterday we discussed five modes, block transfer modes. So in that, first one is ECB, electronic code book. Next is cipher block chaining mode, which is very most popular one. Output feedback mode, cipher feedback mode, counter mode. Okay, so we completed yesterday electronic code book mode and cipher blockchaining mode. Okay, so today's class will discuss about, so in let me revise once again. In electronic code book mode, what happens is the entire message, the plain text message is broken into blocks. The plain text message what the sender wants to send is broken into blocks based on the size of the algorithm that we are using. So P1, P2, P3, like that. So the last block, if it is a short, we will do a padding. So we will do a padding. So known padding is what? Known, unknown, some we will place as none, null. Okay, or numbers indicating the size of the pad, or the numbers indicating the size of the plain text. Like this we will add the padding. So we discussed anyhow yesterday. So here in electronic code book, the plain text is broken into blocks P1, P2, P3. Each block is encrypted independently. So see here, ciphertext C indicates here ciphertext. E is your encryption, and you are encrypting why it is PIS. If it is in the first round, it will be first block, it will be C1. If it is the second block, it will be C2, like that. Okay, so for given key, this mode behaves like we have, see here. If I show the diagram, you can understand. So yesterday is anyhow I explained the problem as I explained about ECB. So in ECB, what happens? It will be divided into P1, P2, P3, like this. Okay, so you will have a plain text 1, plain text 2, that will be encrypted with the key, so that you will get a ciphertext C1, and again that will be encrypted with the key, so that you will get ciphertext C2. Okay, so in this way if you are doing, the problem with ECB is that the problem with ECB is that okay, the problem with ECB is that, see the problem with ECB. So here strength is, it is simple. So what we are doing, simply we are doing what, simply we are converting the entire the sender, the first task in block cipher and modes of different types. The first is what, based on the block size we need to convert the entire message that the sender wants to send. Try to concentrate, repeating once again. Whenever sender wants to send a message to the receiver, so a destination system, so the entire message will not be sent at a time. The message will be divided into block size. The message will be divided into block size B1, B2, B3, and the block size will be depending upon the algorithm that we are using. Let us suppose we are using DES, simple DES, which is 64-bit. Okay, so this plain text, the initial plain text will be 64-bit, and continuation will be there. Now let us suppose after grouping 64 bits, now the remaining bits are 24 bits, and we have to definitely, whenever you are doing whenever we are doing a block size, the block size should be 64 bits. But what we are doing here, the remaining bits are 24, and the remaining bits you need to add to make this to 64. For that we need to do what, padding. Okay, so whenever definitely this situation will occur for the last block. Whenever there is a message, let us consider 1000 bits message the sender wants to send. So this definitely the initial blocks will be filled with 64 bits, but the ending 64 bits will left out with some 55. Let us consider we need to add padding, adding some extra bits to make this to 64, and we need to convert. This is a process of any type of cipher, block ciphers. In first electronic code book, what we are doing is we are taking the plain text of size 64. With the help of a key, we are encrypting. Finally, we are getting a cipher text. In the same way, we are taking the other block, we are converting with the help of a key, and we are getting a cipher text. So all are independent with each other. There is no link. All are independent with each other. So the first advantage of electronic code book is it is simple, it is easy. But the problem here is if we are having the same text here, 64 bits of same text, and in the same text if we have in the P3 also, the corresponding ciphertext will be same. If an attacker find out this C1, so it is easy for an attacker to find out C3 also. So that is a drawback of electronic codebook that we already discussed in last class. See, weakness. So information, repetitive information contained in the plain text may shown in the ciphertext. So what we have, if the same message, for let us suppose the message is SSN, okay, the message is SSN is encrypted. So in this way, so this is a message encrypted with SSN, okay, SSN. So what happens with the same key and sent it twice? And sent twice means let us consider SSN is sent in this block also, SSN is sent in this block also. So what happens? What happens is we will get the one ciphertext as same. So that's a problem. That's a problem. So what are the applications of this is secure transmission of short messages, temporary for short messages, and for temporary use we will use this ECB, which is not so secure. Okay. So now going for cipher blockchaining. Cipher blockchaining, what we will do is, if you see the diagram, you can understand. We will take a plain text same as the previous one. We will take a plain text, try to concentrate. Why? Because yesterday while explaining, try to concentrate. First one, we started with block cipher modes of operations. First we started with electronic codebook mode. So in electronic codebook mode, it is very simple. Taken entire message is divided into block size plain text P1, P2, P3, and P1 we have encrypted with a key, and we got the corresponding C1 next, like that. But it is simple. The advantage is it is simple, but the drawback is for the same plain text we are getting the same cipher text. To overcome that, we went for what? Cipher block chaining. So in cipher block chaining, what we are doing is we are taking a what we are taking P1 in the same way. So P1 XORed with initial vector if it is a first block. P1 XORed with initial vector if it is a first block. Next, let us consider P2. P2 XORed with what? The previous cipher text. So if after doing XOR operation, what we are doing? We are encrypting this with the key. So we are encrypting with this with the key. So this is your key. Let us consider. So finally you will generate what? Ciphertext C1. So if you remove this initial vector, it will be acting as electronic codebook. But what we have done, we have added an initial vector and the plain text. We have done XOR operation, and we got a corresponding 64 bits. And the 64 bits and the key size 64 bits we are encrypting, so that we are getting ciphertext. Okay. So now again we are not taking for the second plain text initialization vector. We are taking this one. Okay. We are taking this one. Okay, so this one is considered, and this previous ciphertext and the plain text P2 XORed and encrypted with the key, so that we are generating what? C2. Okay, so next in the same way, next we will have a P3 XORed with the previous ciphertext. Both are XORed, and after doing XOR we are encrypting with the key. So that we are generating C3 until Pn. Okay, so now the advantage is what yesterday I said, ma. The advantage is what? Please answer, ma. The advantage is what? What's the drawback in electronic codebook? You think about that so that you will get this advantage. What's the drawback in electronic codebook, ma? Please, what's the drawback in electronic codebook? So this is the case. So P1, P2, Pn. So we are, as this is initial plain text, we are not having the previous ciphertext to do XOR. We have selected initialization vector. Initialization vector, it is some random numbers will be selected based on the size of the plain text. If plain text is 64-bit, the initialization vector selected between the sender and the receiver will be 64 bits. Both will be done XOR operation and will be given a plain text. We'll be taking an initialization vector as we don't have the previous ciphertext in this case. So now coming for decryption, it will be in reverse order. We are taking a ciphertext. We are encrypting with the key. So that we will be generating what? Are we doing encryption or decryption? Encryption is over. We are doing what? Decryption. So in decryption, what we have to do? The generated ciphertext, we are at receive this side. So we converted. The sender has converted plain text to ciphertext. Now it is received by the receiver. Now this is ciphertext. This has to be decrypted. So it will take the ciphertext as the input. So it is taking the ciphertext C1 as the input, decrypting with the same key that sender has used, and after decrypting, ciphertext let us consider is a 64-bit. So 64-bit decrypted with the key, generated output is 64-bit. That 64-bit and the initial vector that sender has used, the same values, it has to be used at the receiver side. So that this 64 bits and the initialization vector 64 bits done XOR operation, finally will be plain text will be generated. And the problem with this is, see here, the advantage is what? Plain text, if there are same, if we have two plain text same, the generated ciphertext will be different. That is an advantage in this. But the problem here is initialization vector must known to this both sender and receiver. See here, this initialization vector and this initialization vector, the same initialization vector has to be used between a sender and the receiver. For that, this initialization vector has to pass between a sender and the receiver. That this is used for encrypting process using. They can use either any technique, but in this mode they have used ECB mode for sharing the initialization vector. Okay, so the advantage of ECB is even if you are passing the same plain text P1 and P2, the corresponding ciphertext will be getting different. And the other one is what? The drawback is initialization vector need to be shared between a sender and the receiver. Why? Because here after decrypting, in order to get a plain text, receiver will use this initialization vector for getting the plain text. Okay, so that's a drawback. And one more drawback is, if there is a change in ciphertext C1, let us consider active attack. We have two types of attacks. One is passive attack and the other one is active attack. Active attack is what? Attacker will modify the content which is shared through the communication channel. Let us consider C1. Previously it was CEOLL. but attacker after done some modification, corrupted and done some modification and converted to COELL. So what happens is the entire chain, as it is a chain of ciphertext of previous block, the entire will be corrupted, and finally the after decrypting the plain text received by the receiver will be different. So that's a problem in cipher block chaining mode. Okay, now coming for cipher feedback mode. Cipher feedback mode is stream cipher. Cipher feedback mode is stream cipher, and output feedback mode is a stream cipher. So in cipher feedback mode, let me go for diagram. This also yesterday's class completed. So in cipher feedback mode, what we are doing is plain text is a sequence of segments of S bits. Okay, so cipher's feedback mode, just now I said that it is a stream cipher, but the initialization vector size they will be taking as a block cipher. Try to concentrate in this diagram. So encryption in CFB mode, initialization vector is, just to see here down, it is 64 bits. Just see my cursor, 64 bits. You are encrypting that with the key, so that finally we are generating 64 bits. Okay, so now the plain text, as I already said, this is your stream cipher, not your block cipher. So finally, if it is a stream cipher, the plain text will be 1 byte or 2 bytes or 8 bits or 16 bits, depends upon the type of application that they are using. In this case, for sake of understanding, let us consider SP1 is S bits are 8 bits. So we are considering 8 bits plain text, but in this we have 64 bits. So what to do is, the most significant bits from this output will be taken and both will be done XOR operation and C1 will be generated. Okay, so next, as this is cipher feedback mode, we need to take the generated cipher as an output. It is working as same as cipher block chaining, but what we are doing is, this is the first we have considered the blocks initialization vector as a block size. That block size we are encrypting with the key. Next, after encrypting with the key, we will generate a new 64 bits. In this, we will take the most significant bits and we will take a plain text of S bits size and we'll do XOR operation. Finally, we will getting a cipher text. This cipher text will be given to the next one, and try to see here, this initialization vector is fixed. Means, for example, in initialization vector, it is only 8 bits. Let us consider. Try to concentrate, this is very important for the next algorithm. If you can understand this, the remaining can be easy. So I already said that initialization vector size is 64, but for sake of understanding, let us consider it is only 8 bits. Okay, so initialization vector is 1 0 0 1 1 1 1 1. 8 bits unnayamma, 1 0 0 1 1 1 1 1. This is your initialization vector. Okay, so what we are doing, we are encrypting with what we are doing, we are taking initialization vector and we are encrypting with the key, so that we are getting the new 8 bits. We will be generating a new 8 bits. For this new 8 bits, as the plain text, let us consider in this case the plain text is 4 bits. Okay, so what we need to select, the most significant 4 bits need to be selected. Means 1 0 0 1 need to be selected, and the remaining bits will be discarded. The remaining bits are what? B minus S will be discarded, and this 4 bits will be done XOR operation. Finally, we will be generating what? Ciphertext C1. Okay, this is of how many bits? This is of 4 bits. Now, the same initialization vector will be used for P2 also. This is your P1, but P1 where we used it here. Okay, now the same initialization vector will be used here also. It's like it will be stored inside a register. So this is your initialization vector. Now what I said, this ciphertext will be given as a this previous ciphertext will be given as an input for the next. But what is there here? We are doing shift operation. So the initialization vector is 1 0 0 1 1 1 1 1. This is your initialization vector. So in this, after doing XOR operation between P1 and this the most significant bit, the result is 0 0 0 1, let us suppose. So how many, this, in order to fit these bits in this, what we have to do, we have to shift 4 bits. This 4 bits we need to shift 4 bits, means 1 1 0 0 1 we have to remove. So finally this 4 bits will be coming in this position, 1 1 1, and this bits will be occupying here, 0 0 0 0 1. So in this way, so now in P2 place, this is your initialization vector. This is your initialization vector. See here, so shift register, we are shifting how many bits? S bits, 4 times. If you shift, finally we will be occupying 4 bits empty here, so that this the ciphertext of 4 bits will be placed here. So this will become a new initialization vector for P2. Again we will encrypt that with the key. Again we will encrypt that with the key. We'll encrypt with with the key, so that we will be generating new 8 bits. This new 8 bits will not be considered. Why? Because the plain text size here is 4 bits. So what to do? Take the most significant bits and do XOR operation, so that we will get C2. So that we will get C2. Again the same process. Again shift 4 times. 4 times. Why 4 times? Why? Because the S size is 4 bits. So we are shifting 4 times. So we are shifting 4 times. So B minus S bits, S bits. So in this way we are doing. Okay. But the problem here is, try to understand ma, the problem here is, so before that let me explain this decryption also, then I will explain you the problem. See here, for maximum of the cases, whenever you are doing encryption, when doing decryption, you will use decryption operation only. But this is not the case in cipher feedback mode. In cipher feedback mode, even for decryption, we are going for encryption process only. See here, this is a decryption process. So what we are doing, we are taking initialization vector. What we have used the same initialization vector at the sender side, we are using the same initialization vector here also, and we are encrypting that with the key, so that we are getting what? New 64 bits. Okay, in this 64 bits, what we are considering, most significant S bits, and you need to XOR with ciphertext. Whereas in this case, a sender will have a plain text, but whereas in this case, the receiver will have a ciphertext. So the ciphertext will be XORed. Ciphertext will be XORed, so that it will be getting a plain text. It will be getting a plain text. So next is what? The problem with cipher feedback mode is that, see here ma, the key, initially we are using initialization vector. So in the key, what we are doing, we are encrypting with what? We are encrypting with what? We are encrypting with what? We are encrypting with what ma? We are encrypting with ciphertext. Okay, we are encrypting with the ciphertext. So see here, Ci minus 1. So whenever you are encrypting this, see here, whenever you are encrypting this one is what? The previous one. This one, we are encrypting this with the previous ciphertext. We are encrypting with the previous ciphertext. So the only difference between the expression is, whenever you are encrypting in cipher feedback mode, the encryption will be here. Ci minus 1 means if it is in 2, we will take 2 minus 1, previous ciphertext 1 we will get. Okay, so in the same way, this will not be the case for output feedback mode. So in output feedback mode, where is output feedback mode? Oh, see here, this is your output feedback mode. So the try to see the differences. In output feedback mode, we are not taking the output from cipher, we are taking from this, the encryption one. So see here, okay. So whenever you are in output feedback mode, whenever you are encrypting, what I have considered here, Ki minus 1 means what? The output from this, we have considered, not cipher. Whenever there is an output feedback mode, we are encrypting that with the output of this encryption. So see here, here from this, we are not taking from cipher, we are taking from what? We are taking from after encryption, a new 64 bits will be generated. Those 64 bits will be taken and will be placed for the next ciphertext, not the the output from the ciphertext. So as the name itself shows that this is a cipher feedback mode. So the generated cipher is given as a feedback for the next one, whereas output feedback, the output initially we will start with initialization vector, we will encrypt with the key, so we will be generating 64 bits. This 64 bits will be given, so this is your key. So that's the reason that k1 equals to, let us consider I is 2, k2 equals to, we are encrypting with k2 minus 1. Are we doing with 1 only? Are we doing with 1 only? Yes. This you are encrypting with k1's position, but this you are encrypting with c1's position. But you must know the difference, which one is advantage, everyone must know. The drawback with cipher feedback is that if there is a change, as we are taking the cipher output, if any attacker changes the cipher, then entire the connections of feedback connections will be affected. So while decrypting, what the decryptor will do, will get the other plain text, whereas here the ciphertext is safe. Let us consider if an attacker is changing ciphertext to c1 here, this only will be affected, the others will not be affected. Why? Because in this we are considering the output of the key, encryption key, not the ciphertext. Not try to concentrate the differences. So in cipher feedback mode, we are taking initialization vector 64 bits, we are encrypting with the same key size 64 bits, finally the generated output is 64 bits. With the 64 bits we are considering the most significant s bits only. Why? Because the plain text size is only 8 bits. So indulo 64 bits lo nunchi manam most significant bit 8 bits teeskoni we are doing XOR operation. So after doing XOR operation, we are generating a ciphertext of 8 bits. Okay. So this 8, the generated ciphertext is giving us a feedback for the next one. Whereas in output feedback mode, the same process, initialization vector తీసుకుంటున్నాము. So we are taking those 64 and key size 64, we are encrypting, we are generating the output 64. In this 64, again most significant bit 8 bits and plain text 8 bits XOR చేస్తే ciphertext వస్తుంది. కానీ for the next block, we are not taking the ciphertext as a feedback, we are taking the output from this. Okay. So the advantage enti ante, whenever an attacker changes the ciphertext, what happens, the entire connections, whatever it is connecting with the other blocks, will be affected. Okay. So if ciphertext are affected, after receiving, receiver has to convert the ciphertext to plain text. Whatever the plain text that receiver has received will be entirely different. So whereas in output feedback mode, if attacker changes the ciphertext, what happens? Only this will be affected, only the block 1 will be affected, remaining cases will be as it is. Why? Because it is these bits are not changing, right? So encrypt chesina bits attacker not changing, only the size c1 lo unna maatrame changes. So this is not giving us a feedback for the next block. So that's the difference. అర్థమైందా ఇప్పుడైనా? చెప్పమ్మా, ఒక్కసారి ఒక పాయింట్ చెప్పు సాయి శ్రీ.
మ్యామ్ సైఫర్ టెక్స్ట్ లో ఇప్పుడు మనం అటాకర్ ఏమైనా చేంజ్ చేసా అనుకో మ్యామ్, నెక్స్ట్ దానికి మొత్తం చైన్ లింక్ అయి ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి మొత్తం చేంజ్ అవుతుంది. అదే అవుట్పుట్ ఫీడ్బ్యాక్ లో చేంజ్ చేస్తే ఓన్లీ ఆ C1 వరకే చేంజ్ అవుతుంది, నెక్స్ట్ ఏం ఎఫెక్ట్ అవ్వదు.
Okay, I got an answer. So I thought of completing a counter last, which is left out is, again I don't want to repeat from starting. So again only this counter mode is left out. Okay. So this counter mode, let me complete this counter mode also. Again I should repeat this. So counter mode is nothing but, so it is same as electronic code book. So in electronic code book, what we have done, we have considered the plain text, we encrypted with the key. So what we got a cipher, text. But in this case, what we are doing, we are taking a counter, like we are starting with the counter, and the counter size and key size should be same, and we are encrypting with the XORed with plain text, and we are getting a ciphertext. In the same way, the other one, the next we are incrementing the counter plus 1, and we are encrypting the key, and we are getting an XOR operation and the plain text. There is no connection between a block to block. Okay, there is no connection between a block to block, and we will not have the same effect which we have in electronic codebook. So in electronic codebook, what we are doing directly, we are taking a plain text, we are encrypting, we are generating a ciphertext. But in this case, we are taking a counter, and this counter should be in synchronization. I hope that everyone knows a synchronization. Synchronization should be there between a sender and the receiver. If there is no synchronization, the counter that sender has selected and the counter that receiver has selected will varies. Okay, if it is varies means this generated ciphertext will vary. Okay, so this is a most popular. Counter mode is the most popular. So it starts, the counter will be starting. So in that counter position, both sender and the receiver should be in synchronized way. Next, it has to be encrypted. Next, corresponding 64 bits will be generated. For those 64 bits and plain text 64 bit, they will be doing XOR operation. Finally, we'll getting a ciphertext. Okay, so next, in the same way, for counter plus 1, counter plus 2, like that it has to be done. So this is counter mode. So the advantage in this is, when you are giving the same plain text, we will be generating the different ciphertext. Why? Because the counters are incremented, so there is no need of getting the same. So this is faster. Why this is faster? So the strength of counter mode is, it is faster. Can anyone tell me why it is faster? So in the previous case, we need to wait until the previous one completes. C1 complete అయ్యే వరకు మనం we need to wait until the next block. ఇది అయిపోయిన తర్వాతనే next block మనం start చేస్తాం. Whereas in this case, if we partition the block, then parallelly we can send. We can parallelly P1 can be encrypted, P2 can be encrypted, P3 can be encrypted, so that it is very faster. So faster encryption and decryption process blocks can be processed in parallel. Okay, good for high speed links. So one problem is initialization vector should not be reused. So that's the reason to overcome to not to use the initialization vector reused. Why? Because in this case, the initialization vector will be same for P1, P2, P3, P4. But the problem is initialization vectors we are shifting so that we are generating a new initialization vector. But in this case, we are incrementing. So understood what is counter mode? Counter mode, there is no feedback from one block to the other block, and the plain text and ciphertext. If you are placing the same plain text also, the generated ciphertext will be different for two. And the advantage is it is parallel. It supports parallel. Why? Because there is no chain from one block to another block. Whenever you are sharing, you can encrypt that parallelly, and you can generate a ciphertext parallelly. That is an advantage of counter mode. And the only thing that you need to concentrate is initialization vector should not be reused. The same initialization vector if you use and we have same plain text means again there will be a problem like electronic codebook mode. Okay,